It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
What a weekend. In Oxford, Memphis couldn't shoot or defend the three, and that became a big part of the game. When it came down to point guards, the better one wore a Rebel uniform. We'll talk a lot about that. Jason Munz will join us at the last segment of the show. Tiger football's going bowling home in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Spoke with Steve Earhart earlier this morning. A little bit about that, and Iowa State is coming. They are 7-5. They were 6-3. They won their last game against Kansas State. They got a freshman quarterback who's been pretty good, but defense is their calling card. Their offense hasn't been so good. Should be a really good football game, I think. Kind of a repeat of what happened in 17. That was, by the way, a sellout, 57,000. And according to Mr. Earhart, there's a lot of interest already. Tickets sold. Iowa State's going to bring 15,000. It's drivable. They've had a great experience here. This will be their fourth. They were here in 12 and lost the game to Tulsa here in 17 and barely beat Memphis 21-20. So 15,000. There should be very, very good. And it's nice to play at home. It is definitely going to be a home field advantage. They're coming actually the day before Christmas. So they're here the 24th. The game's not till the 29th. Those folks are going to spend a lot of money in town, so that is a good deal. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, the College Football Committee has disgraced the sport. Their decision to make sure they had an SEC team in, the clout of the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, the power of maybe the greatest college football coach of all time, Nick Saban. That was too much. The College Football Playoff Committee basically ignored a perfect 13-0 undefeated Power 5 team for the first time in Florida State. 13-0, they couldn't do anything more. They won, I know, with a third-string quarterback, really defense. By the way, the second-string quarterback that beat Florida, he would have played in the game, not the kid from Lausanne. I mean, you absolutely, to get an SEC team in, you had to take Texas. And if you did, then Alabama's out. And you just couldn't let Alabama be out. You couldn't not have an SEC team in. And so you absolutely, I think, disgraced the competitive side of football. Here's a couple of quotes. I'm disgusted and infuriated with the committee's decision today to have what was earned on the field taken away because a small group of people decided they knew better than the results of the games. That's from Mike Norvell. What's the point of playing games? You tell players it's okay to quit if somebody goes down. Do not play a senior on senior day for fear of injury. Where is the motivation to schedule challenging non-conference games? By the way, they beat Florida and they beat LSU, two SEC teams. By the way, on the year, the ACC was 6-4 against the mighty SEC. And don't tell me, it's the smell test, that Alabama is the best team at the moment. Alabama did beat Georgia. Give them credit for that. But Alabama 2 weeks ago had to have a Hail Mary 31-yard prayer of a pass because of pretty stupid defensive play by Auburn, in my estimation, but a Hail Mary that made them a winner over their rival Auburn. And that was a Auburn team the week before that had lost by 3 touchdowns to New Mexico State, which couldn't even win their own conference championship game against Liberty. Don't tell me those mighty wins against USF barely or against Arkansas barely, that makes Alabama a great team? What a joke. The legitimacy, in my opinion, of college football went way down. This committee has destroyed the credibility of that. Here's the athletic director, Michael Alford, who said the consequences of giving into a narrative of the moment are destructive, far-reaching, and permanent, not just for Florida State, but college football as a whole. The argument of whether a team is the most deserving or best is a false equivalence. It renders the season up to yesterday irrelevant and significantly damages the legitimacy of the college football playoff. The committee failed college football. I 100% agree with that sentiment. It is a sad day for the legitimacy of the game itself.
Now, because there's only one other time where I could think that a team that was missing like the first two quarterbacks,
they wouldn't be missing their second quarterback. He did not play in the championship game against Louisville because of concussion protocol. He certainly, by January 1st, in over a month, he would be ready to go. So he would play in the game. He's the quarterback that engineered the victory over Florida.
Right.
Now, Brock Glenn, the true freshman from Lausanne, he clearly was a little overmatched. It was his first start. I think he only threw 4 passes all year long. He was a third-string guy. He wasn't going to play. Probably. I don't even know if he played. You're allowed to play in 4 games plus a bowl game and keep that redshirt year. So the odds are pretty good. He probably will be keeping a redshirt year. But he's not going to be the guy in that game. It's the second-string quarterback that beat Florida that would be in the game. Right. This is just an excuse to get an SEC team in. And to get an SEC team in, you had to take Texas with 1 loss because they beat Alabama. It's ridiculous. Alabama does not belong in the college football playoff.
I agree. The only other time that I could think of something like this happen where a team was going into a playoff or going into the college football playoff scenario was probably Ohio State when they, I guess, was it Braxton Miller just converted to a receiver? JT, what's the guy's name? I'm drawing a blank.
It was the quarterback position?
Yeah, the quarterback position for Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then JT got hurt, and then Cardale Jones came in.
They weren't undefeated, though.
For that 3-game
This is the first time ever an undefeated Power 5 conference champion did not get into the playoff. It's the first time.
I agree.
And, of course,
Florida State should have been in.
Never happen again because next year you got 12 teams. But as far as I'm concerned, the legitimacy of this playoff, out the window. Out the window. All right, we've got to get medals because we got a busy show. John Thompson joins us at 10:25. He's going to take the other side. He thinks Alabama belongs in, so we'll debate that a little bit. He saw all the championship games. I guess I'll be giving a medal here to Liberty. That is a shock out of nowhere. How long has Liberty been playing college football Division I? Not long. Not long. And they are in the Fiesta Bowl because of SMU, and it's legit. I warned you weeks ago that Liberty had a chance of getting in. It all depended on Tulane, and Tulane did not really play that well down the stretch. They were able to eke out some stuff, but they were not the Tulane of a year ago. In the meantime, let's get to our medals. I got a lot of them. I'm going to start with Jalen Murray, the Ole Miss point guard, who took over the game. The dude played 39 minutes, 39 seconds. 21 seconds is all that he sat out in that basketball game. That's how Chris Beard knows how important this kid is. He transferred from St. Peter's. Beard knows talent, that's for sure. And this guy had 22 points, 9 assists with only 1 turnover, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He took over the game down the stretch. Memphis couldn't stop him. He was the better point guard that day. Javon Quinterly was not in his league. And Ole Miss was a winner. Bronze medal to Tiger Woods. I know, even par after 72 holes, but let me tell you about the old guy. The old guy can still drive the ball. 310 yards on average, club head speed of 170 miles. That's a PGA Tour top-class swing speed, even at that age. It's amazing. And he's not sore enough at all. Well, he said he was a little sore, but not to the point where he can't play. So he says now he plans to play once a month. He'll play in the majors. He's going to pick and choose. He's going to play the family thing, the child parent in a couple of weeks. That'll be fun to watch him and Charlie. But I give him a bronze medal just for being back in the scene and that he's going to try to continue to compete at the highest level. Silver medal, Michael Penix in Washington, 319 yards, 11 and 1 touchdown against Oregon. The running back was critical in this game. Dylan Johnson, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. How did Washington, a 10-point underdog, how they got that line, I don't know. How did Washington win that game? I'll tell you how. They held the ball. They ran the ball. 37 minutes to 22:52. That's how they won the game. They had the ball, and their line play was terrific. Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel in San Francisco's 42-19 dominating win over Philly. Purdy, 19 of 27, 314 yards, 4 touchdowns. Samuel, a combination of 138 total yards and 3 touchdowns. They were amazing. And then I got to give a silver to Liberty. They beat New Mexico. They scored 49 points, and they get into the Fiesta Bowl. That's quite the story. And then my gold, I have 2 of them. Houston High School, first state championship. They beat Oakland 24-9. Before the game began, the Daily Memphian high school writer, who is the senior writer of all high school sports, maybe Larry Ray and John Vardalos are the 2 that really will always come to my mind when it comes to high school coverage. And Vardalos said in the press box, everybody was talking about how Oakland, because it's all middle and East Coast, East Tennessee folks, how they were going to absolutely rip Houston. Nobody gave them a chance. Like they were the 85 Bears, according to Vardalos. 24-9 dominance by Houston High School. And then I got to give anybody who was a part of the St. Jude Marathon, 20,000 runners, $15 million raised for St. Jude, that incredible hospital doing incredible things, not just in Memphis, but worldwide, and not just children's cancer anymore, all kinds of diseases. St. Jude raised $15 million that one day from 20,000 runners. That's gold medal worthy. Zach?
Bronze medals this week goes to the Packers, Colts, Texans, Falcons, and Cardinals. I thought, I spent the entire weekend just watching, consuming NFL games because the Cowboys wasn't playing. So I'm like, all right, well, I could just sit, fold my arms, just kind of bounce around from games to games. And I just think outside of the 49ers just thrashing the Eagles, these 5 teams, they all had really good games this week.
Well, that's the NFL, man. Anybody can beat anybody.
Anybody
on any given day. There's no doubt about that.
My silver medals, upset specials, Dave. We had a lot of upsets in college basketball. It's kind of hard to list them all, but just to name a few, Southern knocking off Mississippi
crazy.
State.
That was wild, yeah. And they were down they were down big in the end of the game and just came back, and I think they finished what was the run? 12-0, 9-0?
Something like that.
Yeah, crazy.
So Southern knocking off Mississippi State, UNC Wilmington knocking off Kentucky, Drexel knocking off Villanova. It was just a week
Villanova's
full of
lost
upsets
twice since thrashing the Tigers, right? And it was considered an upset. It was only 1.5, but Memphis losing the game to Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is undefeated, 7-0.
They really consider that an upset?
No, it was a 1.5 point favorite line for the Tigers. So, yeah, that would be an upset. Not a big one, but definitely an upset. Your gold?
My gold goes to the Tigers. You're playing at home. You ain't got to travel. You don't have to get up, and you can roll out of your own bed and you go straight to the Liberty Bowl and play in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I think that if I'm not mistaken, that's a bigger payout of the bowl.
Oh yeah, like last year, the way that Memphis would make money on the bowls was they were given tickets by the First Responder Bowl in Dallas. I think they were given like 25,000 tickets to sell. Well, whatever you sold, you made profit on.
Right.
But you had to pay for your travel and everything else. You broke even if you're lucky. This one, $3.2 million. Now remember, that goes to the conference, but you negotiate with your conference what your share of that will be. But yeah, $3.2 million last year. I'm not sure what the payout is this year of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. So it is gold, as you just said. All right, my Russ. College Football Playoff Committee, that may get the rust of the year for me. And then Philadelphia Eagles security chief Dom DeSandro. The number 2 defensive player for the San Francisco 49ers had a rough tackle of an Eagle on the Eagles sideline. And when he got up, the aforementioned security chief, DeSandro, pushed him. Well, that PO'd the linebacker who smacked him. Flags, and the linebacker, the number 2 defensive player on that team, gets tossed.
Yeah.
The security guard, after discussion, finally got tossed. He wasn't going to get tossed right away either. Finally, he gets tossed. He's probably going to lose his sideline privileges from here to eternity, and he should. But they lose a security guard, and the Niners lose their second-best defensive player. That was handled poorly. Some people thought because it all comes down to the head coach, sideline behavior, that he should have gotten tossed. But they did not do that. And for a minute there, those officials lost control of the game. The Niners were just too good for Philadelphia yesterday. Those are my 2 rusts.
Yeah, I concur. I agree with you. I think even the tackle that Greenlaw made on Devontae Smith, I don't think it was even that bad, but because, it's this whole player safety movement, you're very concerned about, wanting to make sure that the player does not being put in jeopardy. Their health is not in jeopardy. I didn't think there was nothing wrong with it. He played to the whistle. Was it kind of on the line? Sure, I guess, but I don't think it was nothing egregious or anything that he was doing, because those hip toss tackles happen every week.
Yeah, no, to me it's ironic. The guy who's who's supposed to be in charge of behavior on the sideline is the guy that was, and he's not even like a coach. He's certainly not a player. He's the guy that takes a swing at the guy.
Yeah,
and he's lost his job forever. That's for sure, and he deserves to. It'll be interesting to see the fine that the Eagles will get for that.
They like to build statues of people, so down up there in Philly. So they might. I don't think he's going to lose his job, but I
think the league will not allow him down the field anymore. Look, the league just banned one of those NFL Films guys for giving. I can't remember the game or the player, but I remember the incident.
It was one of Miami games. Because
because it was Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
Hill got a phone to use in a celebration of a touchdown from this cameraman. That cameraman is now banned for life, or at least for the rest of this year, from working for NFL Films.
So funny thing about it, the cameraman actually went on social media to explain what happened, and so he said because he and Tyreek, they're best friends. And so he's been filming Tyreek Evans and other players in the offseason workout videos.
Yeah.
And so he didn't know that Tyreek was going to take the camera out of his hand and did that. And so obviously because that's his best friend, he's excited for him.
Right.
So that's why he jumped around. So the NFL suspended him, took away his credential not because of Tyreek taking the camera away from him. It was the fact that he was excited and he was jumping around
here's the Hill said he's going to pay his salary the rest of the year. I hope the guy gets his job back. I don't think that should be a grounds for losing your position. Do you have a rust?
No, my rusts are the same as yours.
Okay, perfect. And those are our medals. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studio. Hey, we got now a Christmas sale with excellent deals on pool tables, and there are so many in there that are so cool, and they really set that thing up beautifully. Shuffleboards, if you like those, you play them in bars. They got them. They got saunas. They got these incredible, if you're tired from shopping, huge in-stock selections of hot tubs and those great massage chairs. And you can surprise the kids with a new arcade game, a game table, or even a play gym. It's gifts for the whole family to enjoy at Family Leisure with the annual Christmas sale. You know our title sponsor? That's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. And within that complex is Genesis of Olive Branch. Not all Hyundai dealerships have the ability to sell the luxury car, the Genesis cars, but they do at Homer. And Genesis of Olive Branch is run by a guy named Vinny. He's a crazy Canadian, Vinny Gerard. Right now, he's offering special pricing on the SUVs, the GV70, the smaller, and the larger GV80. Those are the luxury Genesis SUVs with every new toy, every new technology known to man. It's in there. And that incredible luxurious drive that you get with any Genesis car. But there's special financing, too, on these SUVs. Go talk to Vinny at Genesis of Olive Branch. We'll talk to John Thompson, our coach down in Atlanta, about the playoff committee decision, about the games, about the bowls. He comes your way in just a minute.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Are you wearing a hat that says meat?
Yep, it's the final piece of my collection.
Your collection of meat hats?
My collection of Central Barbecue merchandise.
Oh, okay, I've noticed you have a few Central Barbecue t-shirts.
A few. I've got a lot of Central Barbecue t-shirts. In fact, I have them all.
How many are there?
Well, let's see. There's 11 of the basic t-shirts.
11?
And like all other cool Central Barbecue merch, they're available at eatcbq.com.
Did you just use the word merch in conversation?
Not just any merch, CBQ merch. Hats, t-shirts, cups, even kids and baby clothes for when the little me comes along. That kid's going to love Central Barbecue because they have such great
merch.
Ribs.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste. Because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Make the season extraordinary when you shop the spectacular holiday collection at Sissy's Log Cabin. From engagement rings to designer jewelry, you'll save on gifts everyone will love, all while enjoying the Sissy's promise of unmatched service and experience at any of our 6 locations or online at sissyslogcabin.com. Embrace the magic of the season, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies and the Memphis Tigers, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back. I do have to congratulate Ole Miss. Getting into New Year's Day 6, 10-2 year, Lane Kiffin. I didn't give him a medal because I'd already given Murray a medal from Ole Miss, and he was deserving. And don't we expect that now from Lane Kiffin? Those kinds of great things. So, but congratulations, that really is that is cool. I just got this great text this is an old timer, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's been around the SEC and he's been around college sports for literally 60 years. Okay? He goes, just a thought on the committee's choices that hasn't been brought up. Michigan, who cheated and got caught and had their coach suspended twice, is not even being discussed for dismissal from the playoffs. Are we encouraging cheating and then looking the other way? This committee, they just let down college football. There's just no doubt in my mind about that. We'll talk about that with John Thompson, who I think has a different perspective in just a minute, but we'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by the Spirit Shop. It's time to load up. Go see my guy Eddie Connor at the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. I know you've had a bunch to celebrate with, but from Thanksgiving to getting ready for the holidays, you need to load up. You need to stock up. Maybe you need an education on what out there is valuable or what's up and coming, what's middle of the road but really has a great taste to it. Any Spirit, from bourbon to great wines to beer, local beers, any accessory. You need to rub some seasoning on the rim of a glass for a drink. They've got it all. And it's so conveniently located right there at Poplar and St. Nick. 4848 Poplar. That's right down from Clark Tower. It's that little log cabin you've passed by so many times. Not so little inside. There's so much product and so much education. Go see Eddie at the Spirit Shop. We travel now to the great city of Atlanta, where the SEC championship game was hosted. Down goes Georgia. Alabama able to win that game. And then, because the committee just robbed not only Florida State, but the whole credibility of the sport, put Alabama in. And my contention is this, John. They couldn't put Texas in without including Alabama because Texas beat Alabama. So what did they do? They put the screws to Florida State. Give me your perspective.
Well, from a coaching perspective, I look at it as the most deserving and the best teams. The four teams I would not want to play are the four teams that are in there. I would take Florida State over any of the four if I was going to have to play. Florida State is depleted right now. Bless their heart, sad deal. They did everything. All the players, the rest of the players on their team did everything asked of them. I feel for Mike and Norvell and the Florida State people. I do. Absolutely do. I feel for Georgia a little bit, but they didn't handle their business either. But Florida State did, but they're the four top teams. I think the committee got it 100% right.
How is Alabama considered, if you look at the body of work, a great team? They
11 in a row. They beat the number one
They
team.
barely beat Auburn with a Hail Mary.
Barely. I know, barely.
They barely beat South Florida. They barely beat Arkansas.
Barely. You're exactly
So if you're
right.
talking eye test, how in the world is this a great team? It's not a great team. By the way, it's not even a great league. The ACC in overall record against the SEC this year, 6-4.
You have gone crazy. Okay, do you think? Let me ask you. Do you think Michigan is going to beat Alabama? You think Michigan could beat Alabama?
Yes, I think Michigan is going to beat Alabama. I don't think it's a great Alabama team.
Oh, okay. I think they're one of the top four. Do you think Washington? How good a team do you think Washington? Hey,
I think Washington's a
great
really good
team.
team.
They're a solid total team. I think they're one of the four best. But when you take the four best and it doesn't matter what you put out beside them. If you put ACC, SEC. You're trying to get the best teams. Alabama right now is one of the four best teams. Florida State is not one of the four best teams. I believe that Michigan is and Washington. Well, it's because you're biased on the league. Yeah, that's where. But when and this is strictly from a coaching standpoint. When you watch, the interior line play. The speed, look, Florida State, bless their heart. Again, when they're down to their third quarterback and they have 50-something yards in the game, then they're not one of the top four teams.
But it's not their third-string quarterback that would play in that playoff game. The second-string quarterback that engineered the win over Florida would go. And by the way, that quarterback doesn't play on defense, and Florida State's defense is really good.
They are. They're really good. They are. But do you think Florida State? You're telling me Florida State's better than Alabama with Jalen Milroe? You're telling me the Florida State's better.
I don't think Milroe's a great quarterback by any means. I certainly don't think he's as good as the first-string quarterback at Florida State. Not even close.
No. Really? Okay. Well, but that guy's got he wouldn't be that good with him playing with a cast on his leg. That's why he would have to play.
But the second-string quarterback would, and Florida State didn't lose a game this year. By the way, they were 2-0 against the SEC. Florida State was.
That's right. They were 2-0 against the SEC.
So it means something when you look at record.
Beat Clemson with a different team, with a different quarterback. The single most important player on any team across the board, football, basketball, baseball, is the quarterback. They lost their quarterback. They're not as good. Washington's quarterback, Alabama's quarterback, Michigan's quarterback, all of them are better.
Alabama's quarterback is a pedestrian quarterback. He's not certainly. You're not putting him in the league with Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. Are you kidding me?
He won. He turned around and won the game. It was 4th and 31.
He put up
and he throws
a hope
a dime.
and a prayer. Come on, you're giving him credit for that?
Yeah, I am. He threw
wow.
it right in the corner. They were playing 3 deep, man under. The corner played the middle of the third, the outside third, and the guy got the player that had him man played him inside, which he should have, and he put it in the exact spot.
I give more credit to the Auburn defensive coordinator than I give to the Alabama quarterback.
Who was successful on that play? How can you give? You're going to give more success for the failure? I don't know what's going on with you down
I
there.
think that was absolutely failure.
I
think the committee failed too.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about some of these games that you saw. So you saw Alabama, Georgia, and I think we were all surprised that Alabama was able to beat Georgia.
I wasn't really surprised. I think Alabama's getting better and better and better and better. And Alabama was the first team that really blocked Georgia's defensive front. Georgia is extremely talented. I thought they were the best team in the country until I saw the Alabama's offensive line handle Georgia's defensive line. Only team in the country. Now that game, that was Ali Frazier. That was a heavyweight slugfest, and Alabama came out ahead. Hey, Georgia is a really, really good team. I think Georgia got it put to them more than Florida State did.
Oh my
Even
gosh.
though they lost one.
All right, that's right. One. They both should have been in there if it had been that. You talk about SEC bias. This is what happened. No team should have been in from the SEC. You got 2 teams in. And by the way, how do you make the case that Alabama's looking better and better and better when they should have lost to Auburn on a Hail Mary to a team that lost by 3 touchdowns the week before that to New Mexico State?
Okay, why do we not have James Madison? Why are we not bringing them up? They had a great year, didn't they?
Right.
They won all their games but one. They lost the game.
Right.
They lost the game, but they had a great year. So if you're talking about deserving teams,
well, I think if you look at strength of schedule there,
teams are.
If you look at strength of schedule, that would be that's where you make your point. You can't do that with Florida State.
You could go back and the BCS and put the computer on it. The thing would come out probably. Who knows?
Well, this is the first time.
When you got humans, this is humans judging humans and looking at it, and hopefully those guys. There are 13 guys in the room. They're all watching the games. They're control of the game, who's available, what their body of work is, all of that. Look, I feel sorry for Norvell and Florida State. I really do. And Georgia. I feel sorry for Kirby and Georgia. They didn't win. Florida State is not the same team. They don't want any of Alabama. They don't want any of that.
Oh, they would have loved to be in the position right now that Alabama's in and taking on Michigan. They would have loved that. And instead, they're going to end up playing Georgia in a game that will be meaningless to a lot of those guys. Well, and I wonder how many will opt out.
Well, that's what's going to be sad.
Yeah. Well, look at this. Ohio State's got a guy, portal open, and they already lost their quarterback, so Ohio State's not going to have a quarterback in the bowl game.
That's sad. That's sad, and it makes me want to throw up when these guys do not finish. I got nothing for them. If they don't finish with their team and they pull on out, and I know it's a business decision, and I know I don't know all the things that go on individually with all these players, but you finish. You start with the team, you finish with the team. And if you don't do that, then that's going to happen. We're going to see it more than it ever has. All this is going to come out, and hopefully we'll limit some of that when we get 12 teams in. And you and I have been talking about this for a decade. And when we get 12 teams in next year, maybe it'll solve some of the problem. But it's sad that the guys that are going to opt out. Really sad.
Yes, and I hope we don't see the day, because we could, where some guy's going to go, you know what, I'm not going to go into that playoff game because I got to start working out for the combine. And I think that eventually that could happen too.
Well, it might happen with all the transfers, but then you got to, if that guy does that, I'm sure as heck not drafting him. I don't want him in my company. I don't want him on my team. I don't want him in my organization if that's what he decides to do. But that's just, I mean, when you commit, you commit. When you're on a team, you finish. And if you opt out to go and raise your stock for somebody else, then you got to look at what you're leaving. So I got nothing for that.
Really?
I got absolutely nothing for that. And now, our opinion on Florida State and Alabama, that's okay. These guys are playing their hearts out. But when a guy decides to quit, I got nothing there. That's not good.
We actually agree on something today. All right, quickly, Heisman Trophy. I got to make my pick by 4:00 today. I've already gotten my decision made. I did all the numbers. So I just got to figure out if I can. They got a new way of doing it, so hopefully technologically I can do it. I might have to call Stats and have them walk me through it. But anyway, and
Stats is the man.
Well,
you need Stats.
You're
gonna need
Stats.
The way you're thinking today.
Wait. Stats is
the way
brilliant.
you're thinking today. You need Stats.
Stats is brilliant, but technologically he may be a step, just a skosh better than me.
Hey. We got the same education through 12 years. So, well, me, I didn't get him through 12 years. So he's smarter than me. He got 12 years at Forest City. I only got 3. So he's smarter than I am too. So, but he could help you. Well, okay, I know you good. I know you're good. I know you're going to surely you're going with Daniels from LSU.
Well, I'm not allowed to divulge until I've done it. Right?
Oh,
until after the thing.
See, I didn't know the rules.
Yes.
I didn't know the rules.
But let me just say this. 3,800 yards, 40 touchdowns, only 4 picks. Number 1 QBR in the country. 72% completion rate. Here's where he beats everybody, because Michael Penix, the passing numbers are really better. Bo Nix, passing numbers are really kind of better. But nobody does 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns running.
No,
so he's got them both.
Difference.
He leads in 25 of 29 statistical categories. It's like crazy.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm surprised you don't have Milroe in there. Come on.
Well, I was going to throw him out there maybe a little bit.
And then you ought to put Jackson. You ought to put Jackson Dart in there. I mean, you might as well put the whole SEC team quarterbacks in there, just like you are getting 2 in the playoff.
That has nothing to do with the SEC. Absolute nothing to do. This was one of the first times that I was able to sit at home and really study these games. Had nothing to do with SEC bias, except they're the best teams, and they happen to play in the SEC, which helps you be one of the best teams because you have to play that schedule week in and week out instead of playing a JV schedule like most of the other conferences in the country do half the time.
Since you are my guest, I'm just going to let you have the last word on that. But only because you're my guest, because you're wrong.
Well,
anyway,
appreciate you, man.
Right.
Thank you.
Talk next Monday. Can't wait for that.
Looking forward
talk
to
some
it.
more bowl games.
To it.
Get your take on the AutoZone Liberty Bowl next week, too. Thank you.
Okay.
Looking
forward to it.
That is our
All
coach.
Right,
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right.
That's our coach. He is, of course, down in Atlanta, and we'll chat with him again coming up on Monday. By the way, we didn't have a chance to get into this earlier, but Zach, we tied this week, 3-3. We didn't exactly knock him dead on the picks, unfortunately. But 500's better than losing.
All day.
Well, he did it again. That's Shell Dunn with Marks and Bensdorf Realtors. He told people for years now, the real estate market doesn't stop when the holidays begin, and that he's sold homes on New Year's Eve, Christmas Day, even the day before Thanksgiving. And he just recently sold a house on Thanksgiving last week. I mean, the guy's incredible. That's pretty crazy when you think he always says the market stays hot. It's still active, even on the holidays. And if you want the job done, a guy who can guide you to competition and preparation to get the best price on your home, you got to talk to him. He's got that marketing program. It's strategic. And what's even more unique is he tells people when they're thinking of selling their home, they should talk to 2 or 3 real estate brokers. Just make sure he's one of them. Because if you talk to him and you learn about the 3 Ps, that's part of the strategy, you will sell your house. You'll be at the closing table quicker and with more money than anybody else. Just let him put his program to work for you by calling 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. That's Sheldon Rosengarten, Marks Bensdorf. Munzie, on his trip to Oxford, the Tigers fall to the Rebels. His take in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
At Genesis Diamonds, we're rolling back prices and finance rates so you can get that special someone the most special gift ever. Maybe it's that pair of diamond earrings or that all-new designer fashion bracelet or that dazzling 2-carat diamond ring. It's all more affordable because at Genesis, we've got special pricing across the board and 0 interest for 5 years. So you can get that $3,000 diamond pendant and pay just $50 a month or that $6,000 eternity band for just $100 a month. Everything's included in this amazing holiday offer. All our GIA certified natural diamonds and all our lab-grown diamonds, even all our luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. Imagine that $15,000 Rolex for just $250 a month. You can even finance the sales tax. Don't let talk of rising prices and high interest rates dampen your holiday spirit. At Genesis, we're lowering prices and taking interest rates down to 0. Get that headliner gift they deserve and make your money go farther than ever. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds at Poplar & Perkins Extended on approved credit.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you look at the website for 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination, you'll see the phrase sophisticated steakhouse serving elevated entrees. That just about sums up 117 Prime. If you want to have a truly special dining experience, then you can't beat sophisticated steakhouse serving elevated entrees. There are plenty of places in Memphis to get a steak, but there's only one place that pairs sophisticated with elevated entrees, and that's 117 Prime. If it's time for you or someone in your life to celebrate in a way that makes you feel sophisticated and elevated, you can't do better than 117 Prime.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in, cruising through our manic Monday with so much to talk about. Well, we've gotten into the committee, we haven't really gotten much into the AutoZone Liberty Ball. I'm so happy we'll be home. As Ryan Silverfield said, we know every blade of grass. He should have said every rubber pebble, right? Because it's field turf. But they do know the way the winds go and everything else. Going to be fun to play a rematch with Iowa State from 6 years ago. And Steve Earhart mentioned to me, ticket sales are going quite briskly. The Tiger basketball game in Oxford was really captivating. It was loud in there, as loud as I can remember any place being in a long, long time. Back and forth they went. Ole Miss started off with a 7-0 run, and then Memphis countered with a 17-2 run. 10-0 run that was in there. And the game was on. In the end, shooting threes, the best point guard, that was the decider. And Ole Miss was better with shooting threes, defending threes, and their point guard was the best player on the floor. Jason Munzie, do you disagree with anything I've said right now? Good morning.
Good morning to you. No, I do not disagree at all. Jalen Murray kind of had his way with Memphis, especially down the stretch in crunch time. That's the point guard you mentioned for Ole Miss. He's a St. Peter's transfer, so good on Chris Beard for identifying that talent and getting him to Oxford. But no, I mean, like, I think Memphis shot 3 of 18 from 3. It's a shame that Ashton Hardaway's toe was on the line for one of those shots, or else it, might would have made some sort of a difference. I don't know. It was late in the game when that happened, and I think it gave Memphis a 1-point lead at the time. Maybe a 2-point lead makes things a little different in crunch time, but yeah, 3 of 18 is not going to get it done, especially when the other team hit 11 3-pointers, was it? I think it was.
No, they were 11 of 22. Here's a team that was shooting like 31% from 3, averaging 6.5 threes a game. So they almost double their output, and they shoot about 20% better than they normally do. That's crazy. And they weren't great defenders of the 3 coming into that game. But,
no.
Memphis had a terrible shooting night. Here's the other thing that is a little troubling. I want your take on this. Twofold. David Jones is the best player on that Memphis team in terms of consistency and I think sheer talent.
Yep.
He did not touch the ball, did not have a shot the last 5 minutes and 50 seconds. And the second thing about that is when the final play was drawn up, as Penny said to me in the postgame and he said to you guys in the press conference, the play was set up for Ashton Hardaway in the corner for a 3. And the point guard took the shot with 3 seconds left, and apparently Hardaway was open in the corner. He took the shot, rushed it, top of the key, had a look, I'll give him that, but because he rushed it and didn't run the play as was called for in the huddle, he missed wide left. He barely, I don't know if he even got rim at all. I know he got backboard, but I don't think he even got rim.
He did not get rim. It was a flat shot. It was like one of those shots you take, when there's half a second left. There were 3.8. I went back and watched the replay. There were 3.8 seconds left when the ball left his hand. Now, that's not even when, that's not taking into consideration how much time was left on the clock when he made the decision to shoot that shot. So obviously there was more time when he decided I'm going to take this shot. So the way Penny said it to us is like, I don't know if he lost track of time or what, but in going back and watching that replay over and over again, Ashton Hardaway couldn't have been more open. And the play was setting up perfectly the way they had drawn it up. JQ had drawn at least one defender and was in the process of drawing a second. And then Nick Jourdain set a beautiful screen to free up Ashton Hardaway in the corner. And so Penny's absolutely right. Ashton was wide open, and there was plenty of time on the clock to get him the ball. And then the David Jones stuff. Penny accepted full responsibility. He said he was trying to get the offense to run through Quinterly down the stretch, and that was obviously a mistake. You got a guy who, he's the best scorer on the team right now, and he disappears for the last 6 minutes of the game. That can't happen. And then we could throw another log on the fire if you want to. The continued issues with Jordan Brown. They got some stuff they got to sort out, man. It's not things are not there's not a lot of harmony.
It's not
happening.
like it's not like it was when you started 5-0 and beat
No.
Arkansas. There's definitely things, and I do want to point out, not as an excuse, because the Rebels won the game, but it hurt that Jaquan Walton was not in the game down the stretch.
Last 12 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he got hurt, and I swear to you, I watched the replay on ESPN, the same replay that the referee crew, the officiating crew, and I'm not saying anything about the refs in this game because they let people play, both sides. But I don't understand how Cisse got away with that not being a foul at all because there's no doubt he elbowed Walton in the head.
In the back of the head, yeah. And, I mean, the only thing that I can think of without talking to the officials, obviously I've not gotten their explanation of the situation, but the only thing that I could see them like rationalizing why it wasn't a foul was because it might have been incidental contact. It wasn't as if Cisse just launched a flying elbow off the top rope into the back of Jaquan's head. Like, Jaquan kind of initiated some of that contact. He was, it wasn't a clean, the way it all transpired. It wasn't clean. But that being said, it was a foul. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get that call. But when the tide is turning and you're on the road and you give the officials, you leave it up to them. Well, there you go.
And you reported today, I don't know, that was the story you might have been working on when we had our usual discussion. But,
it was.
But the first net reading came out today, and the net Memphis has would not really be good enough to make the NCAA tournament. They're 0-1 now in quad 1 wins. They don't have a quad 1 win.
That's right. Their only quad 1 opportunity as of these rankings is Villanova, and it's barely a quad 1. On a neutral site, on a neutral floor, it's top 50. It's a top. If you're in the top 50, that's a quad 1 on a neutral floor. And Villanova is right at number 50. So if they fell out of that, then that turns into a quad 2 loss. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Villanova is going to easily be a quad 1.
Well, they keep losing games they're not going to, and they've lost twice since they beat Memphis.
No, that's true, but being in the Big East, they're going to have a ton of opportunities to balance that out. But yeah, that's a quad 1 loss. They're 2-1, I believe it is, in quad 2 games. And Arkansas is lowly Arkansas is sitting there right now as a quad 3 win for Memphis. Now, I believe unequivocally that's going to eventually be a quad 1 win for Memphis. I'm not so sure about Missouri. I feel like Michigan's got a chance to be a quad 1 situation, even though they're number 89 today. They're
going to have to get a lot better soon.
They are. No, they are. But they're going to have chances to knock off some big fish.
I'm amazed that Arkansas is 89 with a win over Duke, even though it's a home win. It's a quad 1 win.
Arkansas is 117.
Or 117? That's a quad 3. That's crazy.
With the win over Duke. Yeah. Well, Duke losing to Georgia Tech doesn't help. So
no.
Duke is number 37 in the net.
How about Damon Stoudemire doing the job there, huh?
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. They beat Mississippi State, although Mississippi State's lost to Southern University. Did you see that?
I did last night. With a crazy run by the Jags at the end of the game.
No, yeah. The parity in college basketball is running rampant this year so far. But no, there's these things fluctuate. These rankings fluctuate sometimes pretty dramatically over the course of an entire season. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But the reality of the situation is Memphis has 3 golden opportunities ahead of it, not counting VCU. At Texas A&M, hosting Clemson, and then hosting Virginia. That's gonna those 3 games right there. That stretch is going to be a huge determining factor.
I agree. I
think how the rest of the season goes.
If Memphis hopes to get to at least a 6 seed this year, they got to go 3-1 in the next 4 games. And the game, I hate to say this, but the game in VCU that almost feels like a must-win game. I don't think you can be expected to beat A&M on the road, but I think you've got to beat VCU now on the road, and then you got to win the 2 home games against 2 really good teams in Clemson and in Virginia, but winnable games.
Yeah, definitely winnable. VCU is 138 in this morning's net ranking, so that's kind of a must-win at this point. Vanderbilt at home is a must-win because they're like, what is Vanderbilt? Let me see. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Vanderbilt is 276 in the net.
Wow. Can Jerry Stackhouse keep that job?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it depends. Like if they do something similar to what they did at the end of last season, who knows? Maybe, but no, 276. Like even in the SEC, that's going to be tough for them to turn that around and make that an attractive.
Well, let me just say this: if the Tigers go 2-0 this week, your and my discussion next Monday morning will be a lot different than it is today.
Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah.
That's
the loss
can be Texas
in
A&M.
Oxford will be forgotten. Yep.
Yeah.
I think Ole Miss is better than 10th in the SEC, by the way. And maybe I'm just saying that because of what happened, but I don't think anybody realizes how good Murray is. They still have another Murray that's a transfer, started at LSU and came from Georgetown, Brandon Murray. He's not eligible yet. He'll probably get eligible. And Cisse will end up being a starter on that team. That's going to make him better. People don't realize how good that kid from St. Peter's, Jalen Murray, is.
No, you're right. And Matthew Morrell, too. Let's not forget about him.
Well, you know that kid will not play like that every game. He plays like that against Memphis. Seriously. He's a very inconsistent guy, but he's great against Memphis.
But they're 90. They're 90 in the net rankings this morning. You got to think that ends. They're going to end up in the top 75, which would make that a quad 1 loss. So you can stomach quad 1 losses. Those quad 2 and obviously 3 and 4, you don't like to have those.
Oh, we've just really begun. My friend, as always, I appreciate it immensely, and we'll talk again next Monday.
I'll see you Wednesday.
Oh, you'll see me Wednesday. That's right. I will see you. If you get there Tuesday night, we can go to dinner.
I know. I'm doing another day of.
Oh, you love that. You love the pressure. All right.
No. I'll see you.
You got it. That's Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal on the Tigers. He's brought to you by Grind City. Grind City Brewing, taking care of business in Memphis forever, it seems. But it's only a few years. I mean, look, this was the dream of a father and son many years ago, and they've made it a reality with the most beautiful brewery right north of downtown on the river. You see the bridges. They got this beautiful expanse with picnic tables, and the brewery itself is incredible. And go try the product. Start with the number 1. If you like Pilsners, you're going to love Poppy's Pils. That's the Pilsner that is their number 1 seller. It's just terrific. And I love the Poppy's Pils for the Pilsner. They say take 2 of those, you'll be back for more. There's the Godhopper. That's the Pale Ale. Then, if you like the Amber Lagers, they got Thaddeus. If you're a Blue Moon kind of a guy, they got Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They got the Kraft Malt Liquor, unlike any other, with a lot bigger kick. It's got more alcohol in it, called Tiger Tail. Grab one by the tail. You'll love that, too. You'll love everything about Grind City Brewing. Johnny Radio, I think he thinks Alabama should be in because he's an SEC homer. He'll talk about all that and a whole lot more. He comes your way in just a minute. Have a great day, everybody.